Soldiers, sailors, airmen, and women enlist in the armed forces for many reasons, including a sense of duty, patriotism, the adventure, travel, and adrenaline. When service members are injured or wounded and can no longer perform their military duties, they quickly find themselves removed from their team, no longer serving the purpose for which they trained.
I came back from Afghanistan in 2013, and it was kind of a trial and error of finding out, after the military, what's next in life.
Motorsports offers an opportunity to regain that sense of identity within a safe, fast-paced team environment, providing a renewed sense of purpose. Like in the military, in motorsports, the goal is in accomplishing the mission, winning as a team, collectively celebrating the successes and supporting teammates through the losses. Operation Motorsport also offers virtual engagements and recovery opportunities through an iRacing league, engaging beneficiaries in a safe, competitive environment from the comfort and safety of their home. Operation Motorsport believes in the power of team, identity, and purpose.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the 5th round of the 7th season of Operation eMotorsport League, live from iRacing's virtual Sebring International Raceway in Sebring, Florida. I'm your host, Rachel Wyford, joined tonight by my colleagues in the booth, Derek Watson and Robert Hill Jr. The producer this evening is DJ Lion. DJ is using cameras by the great Dougie Beard. So don't forget, of course, we have Cameron open on social media. Well, folks, welcome back to another round here. It's been a couple of weeks, of course, since we were last here in this off fortnight. We, of course, had Veterans Day, or Remembrance Day in Europe and the UK, or the Commonwealth, I should say. But also, we will be talking to Tyler Reed to hear what happened at the Race of Remembrance over that weekend from the guys at Operation Motorsport. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget, Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated not-for-profit foundation based in Raleigh, North Carolina and Brighton, Ontario, serving American and Canadian service members and veterans. Its programs are based on 3 core values: team, identity, and purpose. Operation Motorsport supports the recovery of medically retiring and retired service members affected by military service through motorsport opportunities. Their motto is one at a time. Well, Derek, here we are, Sebring, an old airfield. Quite appropriate, really, for Operation Motorsport to come to. Of course, used to host B-17s back in the 40s, but since then, since 1950, in fact, 72 years ago, tell me about this place.
Well, first off, Rachel, I would be remiss if I didn't say it's fitting in a way that here in America, in a week of Thanksgiving, in a week of being grateful and saying thank you to things, to not say thank you to the men and women who race in this league and all of our soldiers who serve. So thank you for that first off. But first, let's talk about Sebring International Raceway. 17 corners, a beautiful 3.7 miles or 5.95 kilometers, depending upon your preference and measurement. A really iconic racetrack. Rachel mentioned, of course, formerly an airfield. It's not a broadcast if we don't say that. But also one of the most common racetracks we're going to visit in iRacing, Rachel. We're here, it feels like all year long. In fact, I don't even unpack my bags from the commentary booth. I just have a bag stored under the desk. We're here that often.
Under the desk is also we keep Cameron open on. Moving on from track facts, though, we will be going down to our classes for the race, of course. Now, we have 2 types of cars. We have the Liger LMP3s, which houses our pros and pro beneficiaries. What are they? Well, they are the guys who are too darn fast to race other cars. They either have real-world licenses or their iRacing is over 1900. Now, then we have the GT3 cars, which host our beneficiaries and open. Now, what's the difference there? Well, just like the Pro Bens, the beneficiaries are beneficiaries of Operation Motorsport. Those are the people the organization is helping. Open is service members, supporters of Operation Motorsport, and anybody else who get to race in that category too. So, of course, there are 2 categories there of beneficiaries and 2 of non, but we love them all the same. Robert, we have Sebring, then we have Virginia, Road America, and Daytona coming up, of course. So a lot of things shaking around. In fact, no, we're shaking things up a little bit. We have 3 rounds remaining, of course. We go to Sebring, then I believe we have Virginia, Road America, Daytona. I think we shifted the Halloween race.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting race here tonight, Rachel, at Sebring. And looking ahead, Virginia and Road America still to come here on the schedule. Tonight, we're looking at a rather technical racetrack compared to what we might see at Road America or Daytona, but should be a great race nonetheless here tonight. And of course, looks like we have about 25 cars in the field, so it should be action-packed from start to finish for tonight's 30-minute race.
It should absolutely be. In fact, we'll just bring in Tyler Reed now as we have a chance to before qualifying wraps up here. Tyler, of course, organizer of the Operation eMotorsport series here. You, of course, were involved with Race Remembrance that happened over Veterans Day weekend. Do you want to tell me what happened there?
Yeah, well, I wasn't personally there involved, but, Operation Motorsports participated in a race for remembrance that was held over in Wales in the UK. This past week. Matter of fact, it ended on Sunday. Operation Motorsports had 2 entries in that field in the Toyota 86, and they both crossed the finish line of that 12-hour race. For the race remembrance. Both cars were very clean when they ended, so it was a very, very good race. Very, very clean race, and both cars were inside of each other when they crossed the finish line. So that's also awesome. But highlight from that, we did have one team that did step up pretty good, then took the podium with P3 finish in class and in P8 overall, and that was the USA number 22 car, and that honestly exceeded our expectations as an organization. And it really highlights and demonstrates just the power of what a veteran community can come together and do, through motorsports, and that's why we do it.
A great cause, of course, to have in support there, and a great event in the Race of Remembrance, and one that Operation Motorsport, of course, actively always involved in there, as are many veterans organizations and charities out there supporting those people that give so much for the world we call our own. Yep, well, here we are, of course, at Sebring. And Tyler, before we do let you go to go qualifying yourself, of course, because you're racing, what are your plans for the rest of this season, and what are we thinking about the Halloween race?
Well, we did cancel the Halloween race. That was actually probably a good call. We wanted our racers to be with their families. It's one of my favorite holidays. It was some of our others too. So we took that race off. So we're making it up today. I'm not really sure what it's going to look like. It looks pretty fast out there. Just keeping an eye on everybody on track a minute ago. Hopefully I can keep up, but we'll shoot for up front, but we want to make sure everybody enjoys it. So I might hang back and race with some of those folks, just to keep it interesting. But the rest of the season, I don't know. I'm just here to have a good time. So we'll make sure we have fun.
That's the important part, isn't it? Before we let you go, it is, of course, Turkey Day this week. Do you want to tell me what you're thankful for this week?
Ooh, that's a great question. Thank you for that, Rachel. Yeah, I'm thankful for my wife. My wife's supported me through a lot of decisions made in the past several years since I got out of the military, and she's continues to be there, and I appreciate it.
Well, there you go. Tyler Reed, thankful for his wife. A fantastic choice there. Family, of course, hugely important. And if it's not the one you were born with, it's the one that you now call your own. That's the important part. But either way, thank you for joining us, Tyler. We'll get back to the broadcast here, and I'm sure we'll hear from some of our broadcast team if they don't think we're thankful for, at least the American ones. Over in England, we don't do Thanksgiving. We're boring people who hate everybody. Looking at the last couple of moments here of qualifying, we'll see what these guys have managed to put on the board. Matt Smotherman looks like he found his fast gear again. Derek, he's gone from being kind of mediocre this season qualified to, oh look, he finally found the fast pedal.
Yeah, sometimes that's simply just a matter of someone prefers a track where they race it a lot and they feel like they just found the groove, and right now that seems to benefit him as this track is heading towards nighttime, by the way, Rachel. That means this track will only probably get faster as the night goes on.
And there's absolutely every chance of that, and we'll have to see exactly what will come as qualifying's checkered flag is out. I have time for one very important quote before we go to your starting grid. Our social media expert tonight out there, Cameron Oberdine in the Podium Universe, of course, will be putting out all your social media for this event. told us beforehand, before the race, that she shaves squirrels. I will not give you context. That's not important. Moving on. So to our qualifying order here. Matt Smotherman. Oh, no, I'm being told we have 2 minutes left to qualifying. I got lied to. There's 2 minutes of kind of overlap time here to finish laps, so we'll wait for that to conclude, and then we'll wrap things up as we go to our rolling start. I will go to you, Robert, and I'll find out what you're thankful for this year.
Yeah, much like yourself, I'm in the Commonwealth as well over here in Canada, but definitely thankful for family, friends, and of course our servicemen and women that protect us each and every day and fight for the freedom that we're so lucky to have.
And we'll go to you, Derek, as well.
Well, it sounds cliche, Rachel, but of course, as Robert said, thankful for the men and women of the service. Thankful for the family that we keep, as you said, whether it be chosen or biological, but so much to be thankful for this year. I've had an amazing opportunity this year to be part of a couple of cool broadcasts, which was a life goal. Be part of the iRacing, 24 hours of Spa. So it's been an amazing year and so many goals left to accomplish, but it's been amazing. I appreciate it here. But someone who is thankful right here is Tyler Guillemette, by the way. He's got an open track ahead of him coming into this corner.
I like that segue. That's a great segue. Yeah, we'll see if Tyler can put some time in here and get himself a further spot. But I don't think we actually ask. Can we actually ask Cameron or DJ what they're thankful for this year? I don't know if that's possible.
They're thankful for us. What? We're
that. Yeah, they're thankful for us. Yeah, we make them look good. So that's it.
Absolutely. You guys are so right on that.
When I say about the whole kind of family being either the one you get or the one you choose or the one you're born with, what I mean by that is sometimes our family it's more than just the people that we were born and raised by. It's the people that we come to rely on in life. It's people, especially in the military context. Honestly, family means a whole different thing. Family really is more than just blood, and it really is a bigger thing. There are bonds that will never break.
Whether it's your military bond, whether it's your iRacing family, your iRacing team, the people you race with on a nightly basis,
or just Vin Diesel,
broadcast with, whatever. Like, your family is such a strong word nowadays, and I love the fact that we get to choose family. That's an awesome phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bond that you've built over time and a connection that just gets stronger and stronger each and every day. And you guys are right. Absolutely. Family can be the ones you're born with or the ones that you choose to have with you side by side throughout life.
Family. Yeah. And on that bombshell, Tyler Guillemette sets our fastest lap, just beating out Matt Smotherman there in his final moments, 1:54.272. Matt Smotherman there, pro beneficiary as well, 1:54.312. Connor Parisi is the first of our pros there with a 1:55.1. Behind him is Martin Wallace, Greg Meismer for the Pro Benz, with Scott Andrews Pro Benz in 5th and 6th. Pro Rodney Campbell, Pro Ben Hunter Reeve in 8th. Gabriel Albano in 9th, and pro beneficiary Jason McSparron in 10th. Leading off our GT3 field, we have Skylar Vickroy there, who's been doing very well this season, in 1st for them. Second place, we have Jesse Elliott, with 1st of the beneficiaries, Jeremy Story, in 3rd. 4th is Thomas Utzon. 5th is Peter McDade. We have Andrew Reeve in 6th. I can count, yeah, 6th. Then we have 7th, Tanner Masters, beneficiary. John Hicks, beneficiary. Elliot Whitfield, beneficiary. Joshua O'Connor, beneficiary. Alvin Kelly, beneficiary. Could have said all those 3 were beneficiaries, would have been faster. But Adam Poppenhouse, open. Tyler Reed for the open as well. Dave Bell and Brian Knight for the beneficiaries. Rounding out a great 24-car field coming back from the Remembrance weekend, of course, and the holidays we've had here. And it is, of course, Thanksgiving week, which will be hopefully something that drivers will be winning today will be giving thanks for. Going fast. Getting yourself ready here for this rolling start. We're going to have a little bit of time here, actually. We're going for a full pace lap around here, which is not exactly a short one, is it, Robert?
No, definitely not too short of a time around here. Like you said, in qualifying here, quick time was 1:54.272. So we're going to add probably about a minute to that in pacing, give these drivers an opportunity to figure out all the corners, all the apexes. Once again, I mean, if they haven't figured it out as of yet, I don't know what they were doing in practice, but this is a good opportunity for the drivers to acclimate, make sure your wheel's tight, and get comfortable for tonight's race.
It absolutely is, of course. And Derek, predictions for this first lap, of course, we know the first sector here is pretty tricky at times, so we're going to dusk.
Yeah, I think the prediction for the first lap, Rachel, will be turn 1 will probably be safe. It's turns 2 and 3 should come around when we start to narrow off the track. That'll be different. You know, keep in mind this track at Sebring in the iRacing world is not new, but it's been rescanned and redeveloped in the past year or so. So there's possibly drivers on this grid tonight who are turning their laps for the first time on this rescan of Sebring, pardon me. In this moment, you'll see the graphical changes, some grip changes. I think we maybe already went by Palm Tree Lane. I can't remember where that is. I think it's already went by it from his camera shot, but lots of new things to see on this track as the night goes on. So yeah, turns 2 and 3 I think will be the hairy parts of the first lap.
Yeah, turn 2 and 3 would be exactly where I'd consider them tricky, of course, as well. And old hairpin down here could often be a little bit of a clustering moment. But the track doesn't seem to have changed that much for us, of course. We are very familiar with this one. It's hard to often see when these road courses that get updated have changed significantly because you know them so well. But dust doesn't exactly help that either with finding out what's new for it. But a fantastic circuit that's, of course, always had a favourite spot in our hearts in iRacing and in real-world racing. In fact, the Sebring 2012, being one of the major races, of course, on the calendar. We'll see where these guys get round into the airfield section here now. This final sector lap a lot faster often than this first portion, but a lot more care needs to be taken with some of these sections. Do we think, Robert, Sunset is going to be a tricky one in this, Dusk?
Sunset definitely something that will come into play for these drivers, as you do see we're under almost nightfall here as we head towards the green flag. It's going to be very interesting to see what these drivers can do here lap 1, like you mentioned, some of the tough corners on the racetrack, some of the action portions of the track. So going to be an exciting lap number 1, as I believe we're getting set to go here momentarily.
We absolutely are, of course, and getting ready to go in just a moment's time, getting that final run down the back straight here at Sebring. Those Ligers led off by Tiger Lamette, with Skylar Vickroy leading off the GT3 cars. Behind him, we'll get ourselves good to go in just a second. A lot of racing still to take place in this one, and of course that Ulman Straight will be some real good passing opportunities. So to keep an eye on what happens with that one. But Sunset, of course, will be super tricky for them, making sure they get through here in different grip levels than people are used to. I think a lot of us, before we go green here, Robert, they used to basically knowing how to take Sunset. This could be different now.
Yeah, definitely could be a little bit different. Like you mentioned, the grip levels changing throughout. Of course, the updated track. Going to be interesting the first few laps to see how the drivers have adjusted to the update and to that difference in the grip level for sure.
Here we go. Pace car will take to pit road, and we'll get ourselves good to go here. Tyler will lead that field away, and green flag flies, and here we go. And it's already a cluster there, 3 wide at the start for the Ligers. Prototype's already getting very hungry here. This could be tumultuous early on. Big stagger for the lead line, as we'll see a clean run through by Tyler. Big wreck behind them though, and that is the GT3 cars. Oh no. And your leader, Skylar Vickroy, was backwards in this one from the start. They wrecked before they went. In fact, no, they went out of that final corner, Sunset, and it was one of the cars behind lost it. I think it was second place there. Jesse Elliott dumped it and slammed into your leader, spinning him out, ending up with everyone backward. That is a huge drama moment for us. 3 GT3 cars on pit road already. Derek, talk us through this.
Now, we'll wait and see the replay here and kind of watch along with it as the podium replay machine loads up here. And it looks like someone that's probably got right there in Sunset. That's always a tricky corner, Rachel. The grip levels are different, and that car snapped around, though. That's not normal in that corner, but as unfortunate as it is to have 3 cars crowded there and combining and making contact, the truth is that that's a pretty good number. It could have been way worse than 3 in that corner.
I would argue that lap 1 is not normally a good time for a number of 3 cars to be out on pit road, but yeah, it could be far, far worse. You're right. Robert, we'll take a look at the view of this before we get back to the actual racing action here live. We'll see him there. He gets sideways. He just whips tight and then just loses that back end.
Yeah, that's your top three here in the GT3 class, all involved in that incident. So very unfortunate earlier on for the likes of Skylar Vickroy, Jesse Elliott, and Jeremy Story. All three drivers currently sitting on pit road. Actually, Story has left the building, so that's the end of his day here tonight. But very unfortunate start to the evening for the GT3 leaders.
Absolutely is. Well, we'll get back to the racing action live here at the front of our GT field. Smotherman is running a second place behind Tyler Guillemette by a reasonably good gap here. In fact, he's side by side with Connor Parisi here, Derek. Those guys really putting on a good attempt here for second place, but Tyler's just sprinting off.
Yeah, that's sometimes the benefit of open air, is that there's no one in front of you, and you kind of get to set your own braking points. And right here, this 12 machine is, well, hold on. I was going to say he had the chance.
Third place had an incident. Yeah, we just got an incident here for Connor Parisi of third. That was turn number 3. Comes through turn 2, no problems. Curb. I'm going to replay in a second. Oh, the back just steps for him in the middle of that corner. He wasn't even near a curb, just the back end loosened up, Robert.
Yeah, might have been carrying a little bit too much pace there through the set of corners. Rear end comes around on the Connor Parisi machine. You see his Nitro Circus racing car end up in the grass, and he's going to have to do some work if he wants to work his way back up towards that podium. Has now fallen back to 10th in class after running 3rd, so unfortunate drama there early on for Connor Parisi, and a lot of work ahead here. But of course, we do have a pit stop that'll come up in the middle portions of today's race. Maybe an opportunity for strategy to come into play there for Connor Parisi.
Absolutely. Well, dramatic starts to the race tonight. Looking down in our GT3 field, which has been dramatically shaken up by what happened. Thomas Hitzen leading the way there with Andrew Reeve in second, both open. Tanner Masters and Alvin Kelly, 2 beneficiaries in 3rd and 4th there. And it's Adam Poppenhaus in 5th, with 2 beneficiaries behind them in 6th and 7th. Joshua O'Connor and Elliot Whitfield. And we have a major separation really from what happened to us early on there in the race, Derek.
Oh, there's a car off the track.
Yeah,
from the wall there, pardon me. Hold on, don't move.
Oh, that was second place. I think that was Alvin. Was that? Who was that?
I believe that was Andrew Reeve.
I believe that's Andrew Reeve as well, yeah. But, man, that rejoin was quite scary. Let's watch the replay here. Just going to get up on that curbing. Oh, yeah. Just got up in the curbing and got too wide. Curbs are not a race car's friend, Rachel. Oh man, that's still scary to watch. I have nightmares about moments like that as a race car driver, but you got to be careful with rejoins. But Pies got up on the curbs and then got it a little too loose and it just whipped around.
Yeah, it seems for mid-engine cars, curbs are your enemy, of course, Robert. Now, I'm not sure if you've driven any of the GT cars before, have you?
Yeah, I've got a bit of experience in these GT3 cars, and you definitely don't want to touch the curbing. It really unsettles the balance of your cars. We saw there with the Andrew Reeve machine, got just a bit of curbing too much and sent his car around. So definitely want to avoid the curbs here tonight, especially in those GT3s.
Unless you're like me and drive the Mercedes, which the curb is your friend. And that's the only car where the curb is your friend. Mostly because it just doesn't want to turn otherwise. So any kind of loosening up you can do as a beneficiary.
You are absolutely right.
But speaking of beneficiaries, actually, Tyler Guillemette, big gap, 2.3 seconds over Matt Smotherman. This is a stonking stomp around the barnyard here for Guillemette. That is more time than we normally see between Matt and anybody else from 1st to 2nd. So an impressive run after a really good qualifying we saw, Robert.
Yeah, definitely a great run so far here for Tyler Guillemette. Started himself on the pole and has pulled away 2.3 seconds ahead of Matt Smotherman here thus far. And again, I mean, you look back at GT3 as well, Thomas Utzon out ahead 9.2 seconds ahead of Tanner Masters here tonight. Another one of the beneficiaries having a really strong run.
Very much are indeed tonight. Derek, how are we seeing things up in the prototype field tonight?
Well, prototype field obviously has a strong lead right here by Tyler, over 2 seconds ahead of the field. But beyond that, if you look back in the P2, P3, even P4 back there with Martin, like those guys are really close together. And we're talking maybe like one slipstream or one, mess up in a corner. and you could be back in this race. This is a track really that for the first 2/3, I was trying to think about this earlier, Rachel. For the first 2/3 doesn't make much difference between an LMP3 and a GT3. But when we get back into the straights and the last third of the course, when the LMP3s can show that little extra horsepower, that's when they'll pull away from the GT3s and from each other. But in the cornering, it is hard in an LMP3, especially with how that seat is in the car. It's not where we think it is for most cars there on the left. It's kind of in the middle of the car.
Yeah, very much is, and that's of course going to change the perspective really in positioning. You are lower down the GT cars, of course, so a track like Sebring, which is very bumpy. Robert, these cars around here, Sebring is a very rough track. I know I've driven Indy cars and prototypes around here before. It is violently bumpy, so going to be obscuring almost for the prototypes versus the GT cars' smoother ride.
Yeah, definitely a big difference. Like you mentioned, a very bumpy racetrack, of course. This a former airfield here at Sebring, not necessarily purpose-built for racing, of course. So got to deal with the obscurities and the uniqueness of this kind of racetrack. As we ride on board here with Martin Wallace, the 4th place car. He's currently chasing down Greg Meismer, the 3rd place machine, as we're about to have a battle here, like Derek mentioned, from 2nd on back to about 4th, very close in time, and all it's going to take is one little slip up and all of a sudden you have 2 or 3 cars on top of each other.
Yeah, you absolutely will. We'll keep our eyes on this one. This is definitely evolving to be something very interesting. 4th place Wallace and 3rd place Meismer. Pro versus pro beneficiary. Looking for an opportunity to pass here, running down towards Old Hairpin. Do Big Bend here. Will we see an opportunity for him to make a move? Will he wait through to Tower, which might be slightly more beneficial here? Derek, where would you choose to pass that's not, of course, into Sunset?
I mean, the Almond Straight to me is the ultimate opportunity. That's, of course, the straightaway before the final corner, which is Sunset. You make the you spend the first part of the track setting it up, getting the inside of the runners rutsy right here into this corner, and there's going to be a beautiful pass completed out of the corner, and it'll be side by side here. And then now the problem here with the corners in opposite ways, pardon me, is you'll kind of trade the advantage back and forth. But look at that great pass right there. Just took it to the inside, but as he said, I would do it on the Almond Straight. I would want to make it happen there and then complete it in Sunset.
That's a very good thought, but he's going for it instead up here. I think he's made it through, in fact, has Wallace. He has made that move through. Jolly good spot to make that happen. I think that was up towards through Bishop's section here, 14 to 15.
Now this is the Almond Straight right here, just for a reference point, and they'll head into, of course, what we call Sunset, that big final sweeping wide corner that feels like it goes on forever, but it is super easy to lose the car, and it have to be. This is probably the most technical corner of the track, Rachel, despite how big it looks.
It really is. It's really flat and it's almost off camber. We're going to replay showing what happened there in just a second here, but one of the GT cars, Alvin Kelly, dumps the back end there. Unfortunately, it will happen. It's a cold racetrack.
That was a multi-car incident there. They didn't come together, but one off on the left, one off on the right there. Heavy impact for both drivers. Not sure who the second car was there alongside Alvin Kelly, but definitely some more drama here in GT3, and that is Tyler Reed, the 47 machine. So not a good day if your numbers combine 4 and 7 out there on the racetrack.
Look, you're in a bowling. That was like a 7-10 split right there, Robert.
Absolutely, Terry. You got that one right. A bit of...
Kelly's gone again. Yeah, Kelly lost it again. From what we saw there, I think it was a sympathetic spin for Reed, boys. From what I saw there, he was trying to tighten that corner more to avoid hitting the spinning car, and just the back end didn't quite like it, went a little bit too tight.
Yeah, and watching Alvin Kelly there, sorry, Derek, he's losing pieces of his car as he goes around the racetrack, so his car has seen better days on that 74 machine. His hood trying to escape, but the rest of the car not letting it go quite yet.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about race cars I think people don't understand who don't race them or do sim racing that often, is that when you slam on the brakes to avoid a wreck or avoid a car in front of you, the car doesn't like that sudden weight distribution in that moment, and that can cause what Rachel referred to as a sympathetic spin, which is where the car just kind of doesn't like it and kind of loops itself around here. But once again, this battle's still going on here out of Sunset. Oh, there's someone way wide, and hopefully going to avoid the wall. Yeah, it looks like they did. That was a great battle right there. Now, something to think about, Rachel, that I was pondering is, these drivers practice in the daytime. Now, here we are. It is currently 8:39, almost 8:40 virtual sim time. A lot of these drivers may have set braking points for this track in the daylight and can no longer see them.
Absolutely, and of course some of those braking points may be based on shadow, which is never a bright thing to do, but what a lot of people end up accidentally doing, or the way a certain thing looks in a certain line conditions. Let's not forget the grip level has also changed, so your turning point, your line you might hold in a given corner, may no longer be sufficient, given what the car wants to do on the racetrack. So you might think you can take a corner at this speed, at this turning point with this much wheeling. Only in reality, at night when it's much colder, it will not like it as much. And these rear-wheel drive cars are very, very, very finicky in that regard.
Yeah, and that was a great point on the brake markers. A lot of these drivers do take points off of different objects on the racetrack. As we see one go around one of the GT3 machines, that is John Hicks in the 075 machine, noses it into the wall, going to get that machine spun back around and rejoin the field. But with the braking points, you definitely try to take an indicator around the racetrack, and when it turns from day to night, you lose that visibility, and you really have to start discovering it once again, either from the field of the track or just kind of what you're seeing now compared to earlier. So it's a big adjustment period from the sunlight to the moonlight as we work our way forward here, approaching halfway in today's race.
Yeah, definitely is something to be very much aware of course, and as we're seeing that now, Guillemet's gap 4.3 seconds over Smotherman, absolutely running away with this one tonight. Really fantastic job looking at fourth place there. That is going to be Hunter Reeve. He's 10.3 seconds back for your leader. He's currently trying to catch up to Martin Wallace there, of course. Meismer hitting pit road. We're starting to see pit cycle break in now, Robert. Here we go. We've got first of those takers being Meismer. We might see a couple of those head down soon, but I'd say this is almost a little mid to early in the cycle.
Yeah, definitely approaching the point of being a little too early. I would definitely try to wait a couple minutes into the second half of today's race, take a little bit shorter time on pit road, maybe get out there a bit quicker to have the opportunity to minimize the amount of space lost out on the racetrack. But pretty decent stop there for Meismer. Going to come back out onto the racetrack, and we'll see who's going to be next to fall and work their way to pit road. But I would expect still a few more minutes until we see the bulk of the field.
In typical fashion, what we see here is guys waiting as long as possible, though we say that GT3 leader Thomas Edson just hit pit road himself, when historically we've often seen most people go early, also very late in the cycle, so towards the 10-11 minute mark. But currently now we're looking at halfway time sort of thing for this one, because we're at 15 minutes and here comes your GT leader. Different fuel tanks, of course, to the prototypes and how far they can go. But that is our leader in there. We'll see if any of the other cars come down as well. Gap is not huge for Utzon, but it's also not insignificantly small either. Reeve hits pit road as well. We're starting to see them all trickle and follow here. Massa's coming down. Ullman, will we see him turn in as well?
Rachel, the idea about pitting is so dynamic and how a strategy should be built for pitting, because a lot of times in a road course race, what will determine when you pit, of course, is your fuel window, but also it's about the traffic around you. Sometimes if you are in a bunch of traffic, you may want to pull out and pit early, or if you just maybe don't trust a car around you, why not pit early and get it done with and just be, back on your own. And a lot of times at most racetracks, open air racing lets you go faster than being in a pack of cars.
Oh, invariably, yes. Clean air is always going to be better. Plus, you may have to be braking slightly sooner or later, avoiding how the other car's driving. So going away from other people, having those corners to yourself. It's also a more peaceful race, which tends to mean you would run a better lap time. So one to focus there, of course. Now, as we look at this one filtering along, we'll see Guillemet, of course, has stayed still. We're seeing a couple of the guys in GT head down. We're seeing Reeve on pit road now. We've just seen one of the others leave pit road there. I think that was Scott Andrews is coming off pit road himself. So we're starting to see a lot more of those guys heading down here. More of our GT cars as well. I believe we saw Tanner Massa hit pit road. He has, I think. He's dropped down the running order here. See where everyone shakes out, though. Robert, in this window, you're obviously wanting to find clean air, I should say. How does that frame in a multi-class race?
Yeah, it's definitely tougher when you do have the quicker LMP cars compared to the GT3s, trying to find that happy medium out on the racetrack. If I'm in the GT3 class, I'm trying to find a bubble where I might have a good gap of maybe 10 seconds ahead of me, a bit of time behind me, where once the quicker LMP does catch me, it's easier for me just to move out of the way, let them by, without necessarily losing positions in the class. So you have to consider your own class, your own race, and the overall race where the quicker cars are going to be catching you. You know, like Derek mentioned, if they're going to be catching you in a tougher corner, maybe it's time to come down pit road, avoid potential issues, as we see one of our LMPs come down pit road. This time it might be our leader, Tyler Guillemette, coming to pit road, so he's coming down for his stop.
And that's a great, actually, segue into the rest of your point there, Robert, which is that for the LMP3s, a lot of times the way the faster class will decide when to pit is when they catch the slower traffic. Rather than try to lap the slower traffic, why not go ahead and take care of the pit stop now and not put yourself in that beehive?
Yeah. Point, of course, when it comes to that. Keeping our eyes, we just saw Tyler Guillemette leave pit road here. He's back out of the racetrack, of course, having got what he needed done there on pit road. And we also saw Matt Smotherman come down as well. He mirrored the race leader with that one. And gap still about 5 seconds on the racetrack, depending on what we've got here. Parisi also as well. We're going to head to our beneficiary spotlight, though, as it is halfway through this race tonight, of course. And tonight, that is Tanner Masses. Well, he's a father of 4 and a career firefighter, and he did 9 years active duty in the Air Force in fire protection. Of course, he makes comic books and he likes to build performance cars. I actually know quite a bit of what the Air Force fire protection guys do, because one of my friends is an Air Force EMT who works very closely with those guys, and they do some amazing, amazing work. But Tanner Mass is there, a Air Force veteran and a career firefighter, so hats off and saluting to you, sir, on both counts, because he's gone from one fire into a whole different one. That's also very much similar, just less camouflage.
Yeah, one of the great things about these broadcasts is these spotlights we do to show up the members and their talents, and sometimes I think we forget that, you know, these are people who have lives and hobbies just like the rest of us. He likes to make comic books. That was such a cool moment to hear, because it was sort of, with all respect, a little out of the norm of the rest of that sentence, and kind of cool and perked my ears. And I kind of want to hear more about these comic books. I'm going to have to message him post-race and find out, like, you know, what his comic book is about, and what a cool thing to see.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned it there, Derek, hearing that he makes comic books and seeing him out here on the racetrack. He's doing a phenomenal job as well, running top 3, was second a little bit earlier. This is an opportunity for a lot of these men and women to escape from what they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis in the military and stuff that they've dealt with in the past. Of course, like you mentioned, Tanner went from firefighting to the military, so he's been serving for his entire life here thus far, and it's great to see these men and women out here racing with us here tonight and putting on a great show.
Well, backwards in that regard, Air Force 2 firefighting, and firefighting in both situations, but...
That's right.
Either way, fantastic. We'll probably have a chance to get him on for an interview if he stays in his current position, so we'll have to ask him about the comic book then if he comes on to chat to us. I'm also very keen to find out. We'll say with his current job as a firefighter, he'll have a lot of downtime, so working on the comic book, it's probably definitely a really good idea to actually get that kind of content together. As Tyler's back in the lead for our LMP3 cars here, running 3.6 seconds ahead of Matt Smotherman. Matt struggled this season, I've got to say, Derek. I know you've not been around for most of it, but it's really not been Matt's time. He's had some fantastic seasons, but this one has just been more equal.
And sometimes that happens to you as a race car driver, Rachel, and it's hard to determine why it happens to you. If it's just a lack of focus, a bit of bad luck, maybe a set of tracks you don't like, maybe you've gotten in your own head a little bit too much about it. But across any league, any series, you know, any car, we can sometimes see a moment where a race car driver really just can't find that mojo. You know, so once it happens again, you have one good performance, and man, you're right back there. You're ready to go again. And that might be the case here tonight. Just watch a little bit of a close action here coming through these corners, and he's trying to find a way around. Here's a beautiful in-car shot, by the way. This is nice here. Remember earlier we talked about how these seats in these cars are a little different. You can kind of see the cockpit view here. But now falling right in behind here. This must be the Ullman straight. Going to try to make the pass in the sunset. Nope, not going to make it happen. Look at all that fighting in the wheel though, Rachel. That tells me that car is not happy right there. That was a lot of fighting with that wheel off on the right side of your screen.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot for the drivers to try and handle, of course. And want to try and balance that, especially with what we've seen as being loose on this track.
I often joke, Robert, the way you can often tell what kind of night or day a race car driver is having. Just peek inside the car and watch the wheel for a little bit. If that wheel is moving way too much, they're probably not having a very good day.
That's exactly it. The driver fighting the steering wheel means that they're fighting the race car and the gremlins underneath it. And these drivers, like we just saw there with Greg Meismer, that are fighting the wheel are having to do a lot more work than the other drivers. This may only be a 30-minute race, but it's still a lot of strain on the drivers and a lot of work to work your way around this 17-turn circuit. And when you're fighting at every single corner, just trying to stay straight, not lose the car, it definitely adds some extra effort and maybe a little bit more frustration to your night.
Very much so. Very much so indeed. Looking at our clocks, we have about 6 minutes 50 left here on the clock, so possibly 3 to 4 laps remaining for us right now as Utzon leads the Open class for GT3 with Reeve in second and third overall, Tanner Masters, but leading the beneficiaries will be Tanner. Poppenhouse third for the Open. Second and third for your beneficiaries being going to be Joshua O'Connor and Brian Knight. So Papa Knight looking at another podium again. That'll be fantastic for him, Robert.
Yeah, absolutely. Any night you can get yourself back onto the podium. And, you know, Derek mentioned it a little bit earlier on. Once you knock off one solid finish, as that got really tight right there on your screen. I believe this is Greg Meisner's again that we're riding on board with. Might not be. But once you get a good result, it can kind of open the floodgates and allow you to knock off podium after podium consistently and just set yourself up for a really nice run.
It was so nice a run that he was blown away by it and absolutely lost for words. It's one of those things. But looking at things right now, I don't think Utzon may not have pitted. I'm looking for his lap times.
Yeah, I was trying to look at lap times as well, Rachel. I don't think their GT3 there has pitted yet, so.
No, he has a 2:30 lap.
So, indeed, you're right. Okay.
I have Thomas Utzon pitting back on lap number 7, so he pit just before halfway.
Yep, we got him on pit road there.
Yeah, right. So that gap is natural. I was wondering if that gap was due to piss off, but no, he's just having a great night there with that plus 20-second gap he has in the rest of the field. So he's just having a miraculous night.
Let's not forget the GT field was a little bit shaken up by the Shenanigan Fest 2023 that occurred on the start-finish line of lap 1 at the beginning of this when we did lose a couple of those cars. So we'll have to shake this one around, but we know that one involved Vic Roy, Kelly, and a couple of others there. So an unfortunate set of circumstances that occurred, but it has meant that it's shaken the speed out and the gaps a little bit differently to how we might have seen them. Now, as it stands, Tanner Masters catching Andrew Reeve here. Could be a second place net change coming up for us. What we're seeing on the screen there. Oh no, we're not seeing it on the screen there, I should say. But we are hoping to get it at some point. As I believe that gap may have shaken out. I may have been wrong. Okay, yes, I might have been wrong. That might have moved around more than we expected. The gap has dropped back for Tanner Masters, unfortunately, Derek, but window not entirely closed.
Yep, indeed here, and we're going to see a beautiful, this is turn 1. This sweeps almost as much as Sunset. It just feels a little easier. And then we get back in the part of the course I thought would be scary, which is up here in turns 2 and 3 on forward here. And little curb action, but all was good. Let's see a nice shot of that car coming around here onto the bridge. And yeah, we're doing well here. About 3 minutes, 2 laps left here probably, depending upon where the leader is, Rachel.
Looking about 2 laps would be likely. Guillemette, of course, heading up, I think, us towards Tower in the corner there. So I think he is maybe looking at possibly... No, I think that was Cunningham corner, sorry. He is... No, Tower. I was right, Tower. Looking at maybe 2.5. Could be slightly less. Numbers a little flexible there. Not sure we have more of a lap, Robert, from Tower all the way through. I think about half a lap, right?
Yeah, I do believe you're correct. About a half a lap here. Should be coming to about 2 laps to go this time for Tyler Guillemette. And he has a mighty lead over Matt Smotherman there in the LMP class. So great run here thus far for Tyler Guillemette. Again, started out front and has been up front pretty much from the drop of the green flag here tonight.
Absolutely. Well, that will make an impact, of course, as we'll keep an eye on where he's running. Gap between Smotherman and Guillemette, 6.2 seconds. That's a whopper right now, as Reeves cemented second place here. Masses not quite close enough to make an impact in this one. Utzon so far ahead, he's not even concerned about the same fight. Having to keep himself clean, though, will be important. A couple of these guys are shaking around in the running order. We have a couple of guys closing together. I believe Rodney Campbell and Matt Wallace are going to be on top of each other here. We're looking at this one now, in fact, as they come through the start-finish line. That's our big battle for third place. Last podium step of your LMP3s. And the first of the it'll be the first of the pros, actually. So the battle between the 2 pros for the win of the pro category, Derek.
Yeah, the battle here is happening indeed, Rachel. So this is one of the fun parts of endurance racing. Whether a race is 30 minutes, an hour, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever you have, it always feels like we come down to these 1 or 2 battles up for a podium that really just seem to want to shape the story as the night goes on. And so here we go. Now the front of these 2 LMPs will try to use a little bit of that draft from that GT3 and then hopefully use him as a more of like a moving chicane when he's ready to make the pass to help create more of a gap between him and the car behind him. And we'll see if that can happen, or if they need to, there's probably just 1 to go at the line. We'll probably see if they even need to use that chicane or if they can just stay right there where they are and feel comfortable.
We'll have to see what will shape from that one, as we have a car running very wide off in the distance. I think that was possibly checking now. Not him. We had 1 car right up in the outside by our race leader. Couldn't quite work out who it was for a second. Yeah, we'll find out who that was, but looking back towards our race leader, Guillemette, he's currently looking at Sunset Bend now. On the clock we have 46 seconds. Yeah, this is coming to the white. He'll get white flag now. Yes, white flag is waving. So this is our final lap here for your race leader, Tyler Guillemette, and the LMP3 field. Utzon is just coming across the line as well. Consequently, he is basically just right behind your race leader. So our 2 class leaders, both on their final lap now, having seen that white flag. And there's a bit of racing up ahead, in fact, of your leader. That's going to be a little bit nervous for him. 2 side-by-side GT cars heading into Big Bend. What will they do? He's looking through his windshield here going, I hope you guys are going to sort this out. But he's got 5 seconds to play with. It's not forever with Matt Smotherman behind him, Derek, but it's enough time to give them some room.
It's maybe enough time for room, but it's also enough time to be nervous, as you said. Those moments make you nervous, especially in a white flag lap. You've done everything you could to make the positive outcome you want, and then they start racing in front of you. You're like, no, please don't do that. It's the last lap. Just calm down. But all seems good here. And now we're going to watch this LMP3 make these corners here and get ready soon to likely take the checkered flag here at Sebring.
Indeed, the checkered flag. Oh, there's another car going around there. Heading up towards Tower for Guillemette. He'll have his run here. Did Wallace and Campbell sort their problems out? Campbell still not caught up to Wallace. Wallace holding third for now. There's a solid second for Matt Smotherman looking likely. Meismer looking likely to hold on to fifth there. Your GT3 field is going to be Utzon comfortably ahead of Reeve, ahead of Masses, ahead of Poppenhaus and Reed. Reed looking for a top 5 there in your GT category. But here we go. Tyler Guillemette coming down Sunset, the Ulman Straight, sorry, towards Sunset. That last time of tonight's race. And it's been a very tumultuous race this evening for Operation eMotorsport as Guillemette comes around that final corner. And under the Michelin Bridge, and he will get that checkered flag. The headlights are flashing. Great win by Tyler. The fireworks go off there. Nice to him. And here comes Thomas Hudson to still see those fireworks bursting into the air, but who arguably has a better view of that. Coming down to sunset there and across the line for him with that win. Second place will be coming under now. It's Reeve. Smotherman's already across the line. Reeve now under the bridge, and he will come through as well. Masters on the Ullman straight. You'll see them from the opposite angle, but Robert, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts on this one? This was rather busy.
Yeah, definitely a busy race. Started with an absolute mess at the front of the GT3 field with our top three going around all collected together and ending up on the sidelines for the end of this race. Actually, Skylar Vickroy did come back to finish just one lap down in the 8th position tonight, but great drive by the rest of the GT3 field to continue on in today's race. And out front, Tyler Guillemette had an absolutely phenomenal race this evening. Played his pit strategy absolutely perfect, never gave up the race lead, was able to maintain his gap, and just put together an absolutely perfect race here tonight.
Absolutely did, Derek. Oh, we have a great sort of example of sportsmanship here. We have the 12 getting pushed across the line by one of his colleagues. That's not the 12, sorry. Is that Tyler Reed? Masters is pushing someone across the line.
Oh, it's a great way to see
It is,
that.
it's Reed, yeah. It's Reed
That
pushing
is
someone across.
a lot of what Operation, Motorsport is about, is the unity and the teamwork and the respect. So to see this kind of moments happen is always really nice. But as far as the race itself, Rachel, a fun race, a busy race, and frankly, honestly, given the monster that Sebring can be, a fairly clean race. Like, I know that sounds, maybe silly given the lap 1 incident, but Sebring can collect a lot of cars. But overall, a very clean race here tonight for Operation Motorsport.
It certainly was. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with your post-race interviews and your results. Go nowhere. But Meismer, third for the Pro Bands, is back there in 5th place. Behind them in 6th, it's Gabriel Albano, Connor Parisi, Hunter Reed for the Pro Bands, Scott Andrews for Pro Band, and then behind them, the GT field, Thomas Odson for, top 3 open, Thomas Odson, Andrew Reeve, and Adam Poppenhaus. With the beneficiaries there, Tanner Massers, we have behind him Tyler Reed for open, Peter McDade open as well, Joshua O'Connor, beneficiary, and Skylar Vickroy open, Brian Knight and Elliot Whitfield for the beneficiaries, Jesse Elliott for open, and then it's a beneficiary train of and John Hicks, Alvin Kelly, Jeremy Story, and Dave Bell. Well, with those in mind, we're going to have our leader to talk to our winner overall. Tonight is going to be Tyler Guillemette coming home with the win at Sebring. Tyler, fantastic run today in a very tumultuous race, a lot of traffic, a lot of drama. How was it out there?
Hey, thanks. It was honestly really great. With it going into night, the track just, kind of tightened up from the loose practice, so it was great.
Well, it seemed like it was rather loose for everybody else, which seems a bit a little backwards, but the car okay for you at Sebring, rather bumpy surface?
Yeah, it was questionable in like Tower Turn and Sunset, definitely.
Well, either way, you made it work. You sound exhausted. Thank you for joining us. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to or thank, we'll let you go and lie down.
Just like to thank you guys for being here. Thank Operation Motorsport. We had a great trip to Wales, and happy to be back. So.
Oh yes, you were there, were you? Do you want to briefly tell us about it?
Yeah, it was great. A little bit of trials for the Canada car, US car. We managed to nab a podium, so it's a pretty awesome experience. A lot of teamwork on both sides. So.
That sounds amazing. We're going to let you go. You do sound exhausted. So thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, next up, we have Papa Knight, who is going to be standing by with Derek Watson. He was third place for our beneficiaries.
All right. Well, as she said, you finished third. What a great run tonight. Tell me, how was this track racing at nighttime?
It was a fun track. I was hoping to be a little more side-by-side racing, but got kind of at the beginning with the mayhem that started, it kind of spread everybody out, and I had a couple more spins, so couldn't really get any racing. So I was really just racing against myself in the track.
Sometimes that really can be the hardest race is man versus track. What was your viewpoint of the calamity on the first lap? Were you nervous about it? Did you clear it easily?
No, so I made it. Well, what I thought was all the way through, and then I got clipped from behind and then put into the wall. So I thought it was actually going to be very, very good day for me with everybody else's misfortune. But unfortunately, I got caught up in it.
It's unfortunate to see. Well, we know you're from the Carolinas, so we know that this week for you is Thanksgiving week here in the States. So we had a trend in the broadcast earlier asking, so I'll ask you, Brian, what are you thankful for as we come onto that fateful day on Thursday?
Well, I am absolutely thankful to be alive. I had a cardiac arrest on Mother's Day, so I'm about 6 months from that. And so I'm thankful to be alive and be able to spend Thanksgiving and every other day above ground with my family.
That is something to absolutely be grateful for. Well, listen, great job tonight. We'll see you at the next race at VIR, and happy Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
Well, thanks for joining us there, Papa Knight. We'll see you soon. And next up, we have Tanner Massers standing by with Robert.
Tanner, great run here tonight, coming home in the fourth position in the GT3 class. Obviously, some issues on the start for the GT3 leaders. Why don't you walk us through what you saw and what you had to do to avoid getting involved in that calamity?
Right. Yeah. Thanks for having me. So I didn't see much coming around the last corner there, just kind of where I started off in the pack. But there was a bit of a mess out there on the far left side coming onto the start-finish straight. I was able to slow down and avoid that a bit, and that really played a huge part into what got me into P4 tonight. So I just got lucky, I guess, in a sense, and I was able to avoid kind of the calamity that happened at the start of the race.
Yeah, you definitely had a very strong run here tonight. Do you think there was maybe a moment in the race that if you would have done it a little bit differently, you might have ended up on the podium in class?
Yeah, I want to say if I would have stayed out, I kind of undercut my pit a bit there about midway through the race. I think if I would have stayed out and took a little bit more fuel, we could have made it around at a better spot. We had to do some fuel save the last 2 laps because we didn't have enough left, and actually ended up getting assisted across the line through the last corner by Mr. Reed there to go ahead and finish out the race. So I think pit strategy played a big part in that.
Definitely helpful to get that extra push at the end of the race. And before we get to your sponsors and shout outs and anything you want to say at the end here, I have to ask you, we found out that you make comic books. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, I'm working on what's called the Spire Project. It's a sci-fi shooter comic book. It should be released here towards the summer of 2024. I've been working on it for about a year and a half now. As well as it's called the Life of New, which is more of a dream sequence modern style comic that should be releasing earlier in 2024 as well. Yeah.
So that definitely sounds very interesting. And I'm going to open the floor here for any shout outs you want to give, maybe some thanks as well as we head towards Thanksgiving. And why don't you let us know where we can find those comic books once they come out?
Yeah, no worries. So first and foremost, big shout out to Greg, as he's been a big help in setting up my system as well as getting me into practice. Really kind of helped me refine some of these lines and stuff around the track. Tyler, obviously, for helping me around the course. Everybody that was there at the ROR, really big coming together and really big family moment out there. If you want to find the comics, they should be available on my Facebook when they come up and out. And just another big shout out to Operation Motorsport. Thanks for having me tonight.
Well, congratulations, Tanner, and we hope to see you back on the podium next round out. That's Tanner Masters, your 4th place finish in GT3.
Well, next up, we're going to have Greg Meisber standing by with Derek Watson.
All right, well, Greg, what an awesome run tonight, as we saw here on the stream. What a great night you had. Tell me, how was that track racing at night? Was it any different than the practice?
Not so much. I got a lot of time here. I've done the 12-hour a few times, so it's kind of second nature to me at this point.
Yeah, in fact, we joked during a broadcast that as commentators, this track is so popular, we just have like suitcases packed under the desk. We don't even move out of the broadcast booth. But a really great run for yourself tonight as part of that pro beneficiary field. You finished 5th overall. So next race, is VIR. What's your familiarity with that track?
Another track that I think all of us in the top half of the Pro Ben class have a lot of time in, so it should be pretty interesting.
Should be interesting indeed. Of course, the track that no longer has the tree in iRacing, but we learn how to deal regardless of that. Well, listen, great job tonight. As we head into Thanksgiving, I'm going to ask you, what are you thankful for?
Oh, I was not prepared for that question. You know what? Just I'm thankful for my friends and family and everybody here at Opmo. It's been a hell of a year, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So, yeah.
There you go. Looking forward to the next one. Indeed, as this one's wrapping up. Well, Greg, thanks so much for stopping in. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you at VIR.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that is Greg Myers who joined us there. And pop him down to the interview buffer so we can hang out with his friends. Final thoughts from you, Derek.
What an incredible night. And as I said, to open the show, very fitting and ironic that we do this in the week of Thanksgiving, when being thankful for the men and women who serve across the world is appropriate. So I've had a great time tonight.
Wonderful. Robert, how about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I echo Derek's thoughts there. It's so fitting that we're here tonight, honoring those men and women that have served us, continue to serve us, and put their lives on the lines for us each and every day. And it was a great race here tonight. Lots of action throughout the field. The leaders did an absolutely phenomenal job here tonight, pulling away in their respective fields, but still had some great battles throughout. And I absolutely enjoyed every moment here with this league, and I definitely hope to be back in the future.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of time for you. Folks, of course, as always, don't forget Operation Motorsport is a veteran-led and operated charity, not-for-profit organisation based in Brighton, Ontario and Raleigh, North Carolina, serving Canadian and American service members and veterans. It was founded on the basis of 3 simple words. Well, that's the old read, I do apologise. It's the motto being, of course, 3 core values: team, identity and purpose. They support recovery of medically retiring and retired service members affected by military service to motorsport opportunities. Their motto is 1 at a time. Don't forget, guys, our schedule is moved up by about a week based on how things bounced around here. And we'll see 20th of November, Virginia International Raceway, and the 5th of December, Road America. Looking after that, of course, don't forget, of course, our next race will be the 28th. Thank you for the series partner of Operation eMotorsport, iRacing and the USO of North Carolina. For Jason Leach, Diesel Loader, Tyler Reed, and the entire Operation Motorsport team. For Ryan Bauer, Podium Esports, Cameron Dr. Beard, our producer DJ Line, Cameron Oberon on social media. For my colleagues this evening, Robert Hill Jr. and Derek Watson. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of the Operation eMotorsport League, and we wish you a good night.